I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power, and coming up next on WAYO LP Rochester is The Sound of Tomorrow, where we're going to have a story about National Coming Out Day. We've got some radio announcing, broadcasting people who've completely forgotten how to speak. That's going to be a lot of
What?
fun.
What's
We've got
going
some
on?
little disconnect. My brain and my mouth just been, you know, these things happen. Come on, what? It's not like they pay me to talk, right?
Pick it up,
We've
Heather.
we've got some pandemic news. We're talking about zebras, tampons, and vaccines. And I have a heartwarming tale that I forgot to tell Ross about, so I'm going to tell him on air. But first,
God, these woods sure are dark and deep. Like, say, where are we going again?
I told you, to my sister's house.
Cool. Cool. It's just that these woods are, they're very dark and deep, etc. Like, is it even daytime?
Oh, sheesh. Who can tell out here? It's so peaceful, though, don't you think? Reminds me of home.
Oh, Penfield.
Um, yes, Penfield, of course.
Why did you say it like that?
Like what?
Like you've never even heard of Penfield before.
Oh my God, Particle Ross. Of course I've heard of that pen place of which you speak. Pen Fork, or whatever. It's my hometown, isn't it? Where once I lived with my two beautiful sisters and presumably parents.
Okay, it's just that it's weird that you don't know how to pronounce it.
Well, it's dark.
Okay. And it's weird that you speak of two beautiful sisters.
You know, Ross, I'm a little concerned about your attitude toward physical appearance sometimes. Maybe you don't think that my sisters are beautiful, and maybe they don't meet society's traditional standards of attractiveness, but attacking their looks, that's just ugly. Like you in a tank top.
Hey,
Shave your shoulders or don't, but doing just one is weird.
I get distracted. And for the record, it wasn't the beautiful part that I was challenging, it was the sisters, plural, that I am struggling with. Since when do you have two sisters? Did your parents run out and adopt a middle-aged lady?
Maybe?
Heather!
Ah, crap. I guess you got me.
What does that mean?
I honestly had no idea how many sisters your Heather had. I've just kind of been spitballing.
Okay, wait. My my Heather? What are you talking about?
Oh, sweetie. I thought for sure you'd have figured it out by now.
Figured out what?
Ugh, fine. About how I was caught in a spell that backfired and was pulled from my demonic home dimension and became trapped in this realm.
What? I mean, what? And you just what? Took over Heather's body, casting her consciousness to oblivion?
But no, that's ridiculous. What do you take me for?
Okay, good, at least.
No, it just so happens that I've always looked exactly like her. I think I was my home dimensions version of Heather. Like a multiverse thing, you know?
I guess. So you're what, like an alternate Heather?
Exactly. Except my name is Cordeva.
The Cordeva, the cat demon from Indian folklore? Isn't that kind of appropriative?
Uh, maybe? Or it's a cultural tribute? I don't know. Blame my parents. They are demons.
Okay, well, I mean, as long as, at least you didn't cast Heather's consciousness to the void, because
Oh
that'd be
my
bad.
gosh, no, of course not. No, I killed her almost immediately.
Wait, what?
Well, it was going to be way too confusing with two of us wandering around.
My sweet Heather, you killed my sweet Heather, my oldest friend. I mean, literally, the oldest person I knew.
Okay, drama much? If you'd been that close, you might have noticed that I replaced her.
I mean, what with COVID and all, I've barely seen you or her or whoever.
COVID? Ross, this was like 5 years ago. I thought I'd have to do a ton of research to replace her, but it turns out you barely noticed.
It did seem odd how you kept asking me how to pronounce your last name.
That
That's
could
weird.
have given me away, definitely. And remember how I kept calling our friends Filbert, a very common gender neutral name where I come from? And you were always like, no, no, that's Sarah.
Okay, in fairness to me, the old Heather did drink an awful lot. So forgetting the names of friends and family members wasn't really unheard of or even uncommon. Honestly, it was a more often than not situation. So,
Touche. Anyway, onward, I guess.
okay, well, now that I know, can you at least tell me where we're going?
Oh, my cabin in the woods has a really good wood chipper.
So, we're going to chip some wood.
Totally. I need new mulch.
Woo, okay.
Oh, and then later, we'll put you in there to make way for Demon Ross. I need the blood for the ritual to open the portal. Thanks in advance, by the way.
You know, I did know there was something off about you because no normal human could possibly eat that much cheese.
Can't believe you didn't notice.
Demonic. Those
Is
poor
that supposed to
cows.
be an insult?
I'm sorry. Didn't know I was insulting your culture.
How dare you?
How dare you? Cheese demon. Hey, everybody. I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. Welcome back to the Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
Where we're the show with the people with the most.
That's right. One of us is hopefully remembering how to speak after the initial flubs there.
12 years or so it's been. And I feel like we're going to hit on a catchphrase someday. We're getting there. I
Maybe.
feel like we're circling in.
I
We're
know.
circling in
Maybe
on it.
you're right. That should be maybe a goal by the 500th show,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
which
thinking
we're
about it.
coming up on. Ross, can I tell you a heartwarming tale that actually restored a little bit of my faith in humanity?
Is it long?
Not very.
All right. Sure.
I think it's kind of nice. So I just had a major life change in that I ordered couches.
Oh.
Like actual couches, not a futon, Um
Have you
cuz
never had a couch before?
I have, but I no longer had an actual couch in my possession, and finally I was like, "You know what? I know exactly what I want, and I'm going to order some couches." So I
Okay.
was super duper psyched. And I got like the call from the delivery company, and they said, "Okay, between 10 and 4 tomorrow." And I was like, "Yes, all I have is my 11 o'clock meeting." So I was logging into my 11 o'clock meeting. It was one where I just kind of had to watch it. So I was making breakfast while I was logged in.
Mhm.
Naturally, at 11:05, the delivery truck pulls up, and a man proceeds to just dump two gigantic boxes on my yard and driveway. Well, at first, not acknowledging that I exist, as I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" So really, it's not his job to move these up on the porch,
Okay.
though you'd
Right.
think it would be. But I asked him for help, and he was super surly about it. And I was like, "All right, okay, fine. That's fine." So then I go over next door because there are some guys working on the house next door. And I say, like, "Hey, could you just help me get these up on the porch?" And the one guy's like, "Oh, my back's so bad. Well, let me know. Give me a couple minutes. Can you give me 2 minutes?" I'm like, "Great, sure. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I'm in quite a pickle here." So I
Right.
unboxed one of the couches, and I'm actually doing not so bad a job just kind of walking it up the porch steps. And I hear
I love
the
this
voice.
picture. I want this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I like sweating. I'm wearing a mask. I'm like sweating through my mask.
Love it.
Yeah, because I just was like, okay, I need to get these in the house somehow. I don't know. So I'm trying to walk this couch up the steps, and there's a whole nother one just in a box. And I hear the voice of, I think it might have been a literal angel from heaven saying, "Oh, you're not trying to move that all by yourself, are you?" And I
So this
turn.
this angel was also an idiot,
Um,
obviously.
no, this angel was actually two delightful men who had
Okay.
pulled up for their painting job down the street, and they saw me struggling with this couch, and they were like, "Nah, we can't let her do that." So these wonderful men just like flipped this couch around up in the air, brought it straight into my living room, unboxed the other one, brought that straight into my living room. They were like, hey, we're working just down the street. If you need anything else, let us know.
Wow.
And I was astounded. They even tried to waive off the money that I tried to give them, but I insisted. Like they had just saved my bacon.
This sounds like um this sounds like the beginning of a very sexy movie, to be honest with you. I'm If that's the end of the story, I'm a little disappointed, but it is a nice story about people.
This is a family friendly
I'm
drive time radio program, Ross.
There is nothing not family friendly about being sex positive about the moving men
It's true. That's true.
who show up out of the blue to help me move the
Even better
couch.
though, they weren't moving men; they were painters from down the street.
Oh, that's that's even more That's even more porno though.
But no, that's the end of the story. Just that these delightful people took time out of their day. They just saw another human being obviously struggling with something, and they're like, "We can't let that person keep struggling."
Well, I mean, you wonder if it had to be the end of the story with the let us know if you need anything else.
It didn't, but I I mean,
Oh,
they
look
were
at
very
Mrs. Robinson
nice.
getting all look at Mrs. Robinson getting all flustered here.
No, I just, I'm not going to harass the men who helped me by moving furniture for me.
Well, it never seems harassing in the movies that I watch about. Actually, I honestly don't watch a lot. I don't watch a lot of movies about.
No, I know. I think that's a trope, though. That's definitely a trope.
Oh, I mean, it's oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh yes.
But no, this was just as non-salacious as it sounds.
Do you think this isn't really a segue, but I've just had a brain thing that I have to resolve, otherwise I won't be able to do it. Do you think we're older than Mrs. Robinson? Okay, so
Oh,
The Graduate came out in 1967. Now I don't know how old she was supposed to be in the movie. Anne Bancroft was born in 1931. Yes, we're older than Mrs. Robinson.
wow.
We are officially the old lady.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I
Yeah.
often feel like I'm quite aged.
There's nothing wrong with being Mrs. Robinson either. I mean, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna get old, might as
Right.
well might as well be Mrs. Robinson about it.
Yeah. Obviously I never saw that movie, but I do, just because it's such a part of the culture. I do have a vague idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Wow.
I
Yeah,
know.
you got a 50-year-old cultural reference from before you were born. Wow. Good for you.
Those are about the only ones I know.
Yeah. Um I have a so it is because, again, I think everybody knows this. So because we used to record live, now we're recording a little bit in advance because of COVID, because we can't be in the studio, so we have to do a little early prep. So it is National Coming Out Day as we were recording. It will be National Coming Out Day plus like 1.5 by the time this airs. So you can still come out though. It's fine. It's not it's a every day's National Coming Out Day if you're, I guess, very dramatic. If you're an extremely dramatic person and probably a little annoying after a while. Um, Coming out again. No, yeah, we know. It's
Every
fine.
day,
We got
every single show, you just announce it.
it. We got
Then
it.
I need to like encourage you and tell you how proud I am that you're living your truth.
That's the worst part, because if you get jaded to it and you get tired of it, then suddenly you're the villain. It's like, oh, nothing from you. Okay, fine. I guess I
Oh,
just
thanks for
shared
the
my truth with
support.
you.
Thanks for the
Yeah, shared my
support.
truth with you and nothing. But guess who just came out today as bisexual?
Who?
Superman.
I thought I saw something about Superman's son.
It is Superman's son, who is also called Superman, so it is technically Superman.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So he's not like Superman Jr.
No, he's
or
Superman.
Superman the second?
Would you be Superman Jr. if you were Superman's son? Would you not find that a little?
So when young Superman's mom calls one of them to like if she wants her husband Superman to come like downstairs and make her a drink, what does she say? Like grown man Superman? And when she calls her son, she says little boy Superman?
Well, I think she knows their real names, so she could probably she can probably
Okay.
just go. I think I think it took 80 years, but I think Lois finally figured out
Okay, so he did marry
Superman's secret
Lois.
identity.
So
Yes,
Lois is Superman's mom as well as Superman's wife.
correct. Which is a
Wow.
whole different adult film that we don't want to see. That's terrible. Don't go to that one
So it's
because that's
just their
ugly.
nickname.
Right.
It's their
Right.
superhero name, I guess.
Right. So that
Okay.
at home, I think they probably don't use that as much.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah. So so we little John Kent. I say we. I think he's supposed to be like 18. But he's got a boyfriend, Jay Nakamura, and he's doing all sorts of bisexual stuff, I guess. So that's fun for him.
Well, yes, that is great.
And you know what? It's good because there's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot more representation in comics and pop culture in general than
Mhm.
there used to be. But having it be Superman and the Superman son character is a very popular character in and of himself. So it's not like, oh, Superman's cousin is turns out is a lesbian. So that's
Mhm, mhm.
that's great, you know.
And oddly enough, her name is also Superman.
Also, Superman. No one, literally at the family reunion, literally no one has any idea what's going on. they call out, they call out, they call the tables up. Nobody knows. They're just like Superman table, and everybody's like, all right. It's horrible. It's a nightmare. You think supervillains are a pain, but really it is just
It's just all
everyone
of the
being named Superman.
Supermen.
Yeah.
Or Supermans, maybe. Yeah, I've
Or
found
Superman's.
that a lot of the CW shows are also very super representational in a
Mhm.
way that I also think is nice. It doesn't like bash you over the head too much. It's just like this character is gay, this character is bi, this character is a lesbian.
Yeah, even in a lot of the CW, a lot of the superhero movies, still not so much.
Okay.
Like or at all ever really at all. I mean, and part of the thing is, it's America. I don't want to blame China for this, but I think a lot of that is now these movies are so expensive to make that they have to make money all over the world, and there are
I
places where like they're definitely not going to, like China is a place where
mhm,
it's not
okay.
going to do great if there are gay people. Not that it's necessarily going to do. I mean, again, I'm not saying everything's hunky dory in America and great and everybody loves it. There are issues here too, but I think China, in a way, is a big stumbling block to a lot of that. Where I'm assuming that the studios would have the will to do that if it weren't just a money thing, and I'm not letting anybody off the hook for that. Or or people saying like, oh, we would put a gay person in there, but of the $10 billion we expect to get, we'd only make $9.8 billion if we put a gay person in there, so
Mhm.
we can't pause so I don't let anybody off the hook for that sort of that sort of math. But um I think the movies, it's a harder hill to climb for money people, whereas the shows, because yeah, even the CW superhero show, like the DC sort of movies,
Mhm.
no gays whatsoever. Forget it.
Okay.
Go away. You're not getting it. But with the shows, it's the same thing as like the CW, the Riverdale and stuff that
Yeah.
the teen stuff. It's very similar,
Mhm.
which is a nice thing.
I think
So,
it's great. Yeah,
mhm.
the really heavy-handed thing I've been noticing in Riverdale is product placement.
Oh really?
And I wonder if they do it so obviously, like as a joke, because it's somewhat jarring.
I bet it's not a joke. I bet they just need that money.
Maybe so.
I bet they just want that money real bad.
I mean, kind of the bummer is they used to come up with clever things that obviously, it was like Facebook, but it would be like ice pages, like that
Yeah,
just come up with
yeah.
weird names so that you knew what they were talking about, but it wasn't the brand name of it.
Hmm.
But now it's like, darn, there's
It,
Veronica with
it
a full on Kavita kombucha.
well, and it's sometimes it's like, yeah, depending on how it's done, because sometimes it's like, oh, she's got a kombucha like I would see in the store. Like I don't even it's even sort of subliminal that I would notice, and sometimes it makes it a little more realistic that she has a real product as opposed to like some made up thing that my mind's going to register as a made up thing. But then, yeah, there's definitely the camera lingers on the kombucha, and she's like,
Yes.
this kombucha, this
Yeah.
Kavita kombucha is delicious.
And like the whole time when she's taking a sip, somehow she's holding it so the entire label is completely like present to the camera. Then she sets
Right.
it down on a table, like right in the foreground.
I liked when they used to. I'm sure they still do this at times too, but where they'd I like noticing in shows sometimes too where it's like the opposite of that, where they don't want to show the brand for I guess for whatever reason, because they don't want to pay anybody, or they just don't want to, you know, or maybe the brand, they're not sure if the brand would even want to be associated with the thing, so they do the thing. So you'll see like if you look, you'll see like all the cereal on the table has black tape over the name. Like you can kind of make out that it's a Cheerio box, but then you see there's like a black strip over the name. I don't know if they still do that. They can probably do something. I mean, it's probably easier now to do something digital that is maybe a little more subtle than you're drinking a can of soda with the Coke like blacked out. But
Yeah, wow. I feel like I have seen that on RuPaul's Drag Race where
mm,
there's obviously just tape on the can.
I've seen it with tape on people's clothes on RuPaul's Drag
Oh,
Race.
yeah.
Like if they're wearing a branded thing. And actually, I've even some of the commercial TV stuff that I've done, some of the local stuff, like I've sort of known better than that, but people have come in like, wear your own clothes, whatever, but they've come in with some kind of branded something that they couldn't have for whatever reason. I don't even necessarily know what the rules are, but and it's like somebody comes out with like black tape and puts it on the hat or across the shirt or whatever.
Wow. So would it be like a sports brand?
I don't know. I mean,
I mean, I
I
guess you
you
can
know,
get all kinds of things with products on them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably more I don't know. I'm just making this up, but I think it was probably like maybe there was a, if there's a maybe if the advertiser was one drink or something and
Mhm,
you were wearing
mhm.
a shirt with a logo from a different drink, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah, like those shirts you used to get in the carton of beer.
Right. If you were wearing your Coors Light t-shirt
Yes.
or your
This is
or your
your
Lucky Strike
Molson.
tank top.
Yep. I have somewhere I got it free at the Pride Parade one year. I have like a Seagram's tank top.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cute.
I think you should wear it.
I should. I'll wear it next time we record and I'll put tape across the logo.
I think you should.
Yeah. Next time we play out live. It's also like an extra extra small, so we'll see.
Oh, then I will take it if you don't want it.
Yeah. You can borrow it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will try not to stretch it out too much.
So Ross, do you want to
Um,
hear about some good news that I have here?
is it about vaccines?
I do have good news about vaccines.
No, no, no. Because
You want to go to
I'm
that one?
sorry. I totally blew that because I wanted that segue in my head. I wanted that segue to be me talking about me saying something about stretching things out, and then you bringing up tampons. So I don't know if you're doing that right now. Are you doing that right now? Is that what's happening?
I was going to bring up tampons.
Thank you. Okay,
I was
then
going
I
to talk
just
about tampons.
ruined a perfect. You had a perfect segue, and I just blew it by talking about it. So I'm sorry.
That is A-okay. This is just a short little article, but it's, I think, a really good start. It's from NPR, from the Associated Press, apparently, reprinted in NPR. California will soon require free tampons in public schools.
Good.
And there's been a bill signed by Gavin Newsom that California public schools and colleges must stock their restrooms with free menstrual products. And I'm super excited about this. Democratic Assemblywoman Christina Garcia was quoted as saying, Our biology doesn't always send an advanced warning when we're about to start menstruating, which often means we need to stop whatever we're doing and deal with a period. Just as toilet paper and paper towels are provided in virtually every public bathroom, so should menstrual products.
Yeah.
I am all for this. I think in New York State, I am still taxed whenever I buy pads or tampons.
Hmm.
That to me is outrageous. But I really think that this is an absolutely great thing. And this should just
Yeah.
be a standard. It should be the norm. Every very once so often, I'm sure I've mentioned on this very program, I'll go into a public restroom and there will be pads and tampons available.
Hmm.
I just think that's great. I know one of the arguments I've heard for not having this available is that women will steal these menstrual care products. In response to that, I say people also steal the toilet paper.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. What are you
someone's in
gonna
a
do?
position where they're stealing menstrual care supplies or toilet paper, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and say they need it.
Right. I mean, it's not like someone's gonna. It's not. It's not. It's not as if you're gonna have a person running a lucrative black market in pilfered tampons from the. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I feel like if someone's, you know, for the most part, and the thing is, I think a lot of the people that say things like that, I think people are. I mean, I'm not naive about what people are capable of, but I think people are more trustworthy than we think they are. I think the people that say things like that are the not trustworthy people. Like they're the ones that would think about stealing the tampons. Because I think
Uh
for the
huh.
most part, I mean, like you say, I mean, paper towels, toilet paper, soap, all this stuff is in public bathrooms all the time. And yeah, it gets stolen sometimes. It's
Yeah.
not some national crisis where, you know, companies are going out of business because people are stealing so much toilet paper or paper towels. It's just stuff that's there. And for the most part, people are honest about it. The
Yeah. And
people who
people
are like,
just
oh,
use
people,
what they need.
it's always, you know, and it's always, I'm always suspicious of people who are like, oh, well, you know, these women are just going to go in and steal all these tampons. It's like, that's something you thought of.
Yeah. Well, because the other thing, I have never been in a public restroom that offers very nice menstrual care products.
Right.
It's nice that they offer any at all,
Right.
but I've never been in a place where like the real expensive ones are just out in a basket for anybody to have.
Hmm.
So I think another thing is most people would choose not to have to use that kind, but be glad to like have it available. If,
Yeah.
for example, you're in the middle of class and you're like, ooh, it's period time. But maybe
Sounds so
I'm
fun the way
wrong.
you say it. Ooh,
Yeah.
it's period time.
Well, you got to keep a
It's
smile on your
period
face.
time.
I mean,
Gonna go use a cheap old tampon from the ladies'
you know,
room.
I've got to say, if you are like I am this month and you have had cramps for the past week and a half and it's not yet period time, I think the response would be, "Ooh, it's period time,"
Okay.
because that means finally the cramps are going to stop.
All right.
Um,
Fair enough.
but yeah, so that's the long and short of that news article. It's really great news. I hope that more states start doing that. I certainly hope that the states that still tax for menstrual products, it says in this article, as a luxury item. I don't consider it a luxury item. Like, I don't use a luxury item to manage my menstrual flow.
I
It's
mean,
not a luxury to me.
do you think if there was like a really, really fancy one, do you think that would be okay to like if it were maybe it maybe it was like was like a really soft animal fur and
Ew.
maybe it had like
Oh.
gold
Oh
stitching.
God. Ross, do you know anything about
It was like cloth of gold on the outside.
what what how, do you know what menstrual care products are? Or have
I
you
have no
just
idea.
learned these words from me?
I have no idea. Um, I'm assuming that involves some sort of animal fur and some sort of luxuriant animal fur and cloth of gold.
Okay.
No, is what I'm hearing.
I mean,
But
I
you would
don't want
tax
to.
that. You'd be okay with taxing that one, right? If I came out with this product. I
I
just want to get you
think
on record.
Yeah, I'll wait to see your prototype.
Okay. Okay. I'm telling you, Melania Trump is going to order cases of these.
I don't know. We never quite made it off the ground with my little my little cotton pony.
True. True. But that was that was a mid-level product. This is for the elite.
I don't know. I think maybe we should get on our marketing though.
Yeah, probably.
Get the tampons and pads in all the public school bathrooms and hopefully into a lot more just public bathrooms in general.
Yeah, so the where was I? I'm not going to remember this now, but I'll just say this and you'll know it's a place of somewhere. Somewhere I was, some event I was where there were menstrual products in the men's room as well, which I thought was very
Nice.
nice and forward looking and good. I mean, for all sorts of reasons.
Hmm.
All sorts of people menstruate. Plus, maybe maybe you've maybe you've got somebody waiting in the car who needs one too. I mean, all sorts of reasons. Like why hide them? I thought
Yeah,
that was very nice.
that is
Um,
very nice. Yeah, remember I still think about that one story I brought into the show years and years and years ago about some man who was appalled to see a basket of clean and wrapped unused menstrual care products like on top of the toilet tank.
and wasn't like his date or his girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend, they
Like it
went
was
to a
her.
party or something.
Oh, okay,
Either it was her house or they went to a party at one of her friends, and there was just stuff you would use in the
right.
bathroom for use. And this guy was appalled. He couldn't believe it. And it's like, they're
I mean,
just clean wrapped little things.
yeah, I mean, toilet paper you use to clean poop, which is so. I mean, if you're going to be
Yeah,
that delicate, I could also be horrified at the sight of toilet paper, you
that's
know,
the thing.
because that is
Yeah,
associated with poop. How dare you leave that out?
I know. Because
Children come in here.
I think absolutely nothing of it when I walk into someone's bathroom and there's like a couple clean rolls of toilet paper stacked on the tank for,
Right,
to have extra on hand.
right.
And I
And I
know
will say,
it.
not that anyone needs my acknowledgement or approval, but I always give extra points to people when I see menstrual products in their bathroom.
I do
If it's an
too.
event, I mean, if it's like if they're just at home and I've come over, like I'm not going to judge what you have out versus what you don't have out. But if it's an event or a party or a gathering or it's some sort of public place, I definitely always give extra points for that because I think that's very I would say thoughtful, but it's just sort of
Hmm.
reasonable.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of it, and I'd never thought to put a basket of menstrual care supplies out until I read about that guy who was absolutely appalled, and I was like, I completely need to have just a little basket in case someone comes over and I'm having a party and they're like, "Oops, period time."
Yeah.
Then they won't have to ask me.
I keep them in my car just for virtue signaling purposes as well. So it's good for that also.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really it serves multiple purposes.
So when you get to the grocery store, do you just kind of stand outside your car and you're like, "Hey, just so you know, if anybody here is starting their period, I have some pads and tampons. Anyone?"
I say that but I actually, in case people don't hear me, I actually just hang them from my mirror, so you can just so people can just see, and I say like free, take one, you know.
I don't know if I would take one of those.
I wondered why people haven't.
I don't think,
I was sort
yeah,
of
I
curious
don't think
about
I
that.
would trust that. I would think that that had
Ag-
been tampered with.
Again, I don't know as much about menstruation as I probably should.
Okay. All right.
They're also all my homemade animal fur.
Yeah. So that's why they're
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
lots of problems with my model there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say, don't buy your tampons from Ross.
Well,
Just a,
there goes our
a word
business
to the
model.
wise.
I can't even get an endorsement from my partner.
Not on this one.
Fine. Well, I love
But
that.
so let's see. We've got a few more topics here. Did you want to talk about vaccines? Because there is also more good news.
Why don't you hit me? Because we might be dealing with the same thing here, but I've got some extra stuff related to that. So why don't you hit me, and then I'll see how it ties over to what we've got. Because this is the level of preparation we're doing now that we're just doing this from home. We literally
Yeah,
just go, I don't know, we'll just see what happens.
right. There's no coordination. There's no planning. Remember when we used to do outlines and stuff?
Oh my gosh, we had outlines. I found old pictures on Facebook, everybody. This is very fascinating for people who like the behind the scenes of the show. I got I'm not on Facebook too much anymore, but I still see the little memories. And I keep for some reason lately I've been getting memories of where we'd like be doing our prep from the show, and I'd take a picture of us or you'd take a picture of us, and it would be like paper strewn out everywhere, and we'd have an outline, we'd have a sketch, and we'd have a thing, and we'd be discussing like when we were gonna do
Wow.
our topics. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's amazing. We used to be so good. I don't know what happened. But
Um COVID and old age.
that's yes, I will agree with you. I
Yep.
think COVID really like COVID just came and went like as it
Yep.
did for everyone. But you know what? We talk a lot about vaccines on this show, but this is not the COVID vaccine I'm going to be discussing here.
Oh,
This is really great news again from NPR, the only news source I consulted for this show prep. WHO greenlights the world's first malaria vaccine,
yes.
but it's not a perfect shot. So, this is great, great news. There's
Hmm.
been work on a malaria vaccine for years, for
Yeah.
decades, right? And there is now finally RTSS, a vaccine from GlaxoSmithKline, which got the green light from the World Health Organization for widespread use. And it's pretty good. It cut malaria cases by 40% and reduced hospitalizations of potentially deadly disease by nearly a third. So it's very good. Um, it can be used. It says here there's a quote from the WHO's general director who says that it's a malaria vaccine for children,
Okay.
which I was not quite clear about in this article if it was only for children or if it was one of those things where it will be given to children going forward, as we do, for example, with the polio vaccines
Yeah.
or the MMR. And maybe that was what was meant. Because
Okay.
I think, I know for me, like the vaccines I've gotten as an adult have more been COVID or like the flu shot for seasonal flu changes, tetanus
Right.
booster, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't quite clear on the vaccine for children if adults will be getting it as well. But yeah, there's an absolutely net benefit from having this vaccine. It's going to cut down on polio cases. It apparently, if you do, like with the COVID vaccine, if you do get polio but you're vaccinated,
You mean malaria?
you're sorry, malaria. I love
We're
to
not
talk
talking
about
about your
polio
childhood.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean we've talked about this. We are both boosted up on polio vaccines.
Oh my
I'd get
god, I'll
this
take them.
malaria vaccine. I'd be
Yeah,
glad
I would too.
to.
I mean, I feel like it'd be a slight waste where I live currently, but I would sure I would get it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is going to be another thing where and this is not a negative spin on this because I think there's no sense in which this is a bad thing, just the fact that it exists. This is going to be another thing where we're going to have to keep an eye on the sort of vaccine equity with this to make sure like I have anything to do with it. But I mean to really be looking at, is it going to the people who need it? Because someone pointed out when I was reading a little bit about this earlier, and I'm
Mhm,
sorry, I don't know who this was. This was just sort of a comment I saw, on social media with regard to this a while back. There are a lot of effective anti-malarial techniques now, like nets,
mhm, mhm.
anti-malaria nets. There are things that are statistically they're pretty effective. I mean, like a shot that helps you not get malaria sounds really good, but there are other things that are also give you a protection in along those lines, um, that we don't do because even though they're cheap, nobody wants to spend the money, or the localities don't have the money, or blah blah blah. So it's the kind of thing where unfortunately, at least at the moment, malaria is a disease that disproportionately impacts some of the poorest parts of the world.
Yep.
And it would be very nice if we can find a way to make sure, again, not me. I mean, me if I could. I don't know how to do that. But if anybody has any ideas about how to make sure that the people who
Mhm.
need it most have access and can get it, I would love to be a part of that because it's I would hate, you said, it just made me think, like you said, like I would get this malaria vaccine. And I'm like, well, we probably could. Do we have
You
any use for it? Do we have any need for it? Probably not.
Not at this point.
Yeah.
I don't have plans to travel to anywhere that has malaria. And it does say, it's very clear in this article, that it's unclear where the money to purchase doses will come from.
Mm-hmm.
And the vaccine isn't going to be, this article is from October 6th. So it says, but the vaccine won't be rolling out across Africa tomorrow, Africa being where nearly 95% of all malaria cases globally occur.
Right.
And also, they admit it's a complicated vaccine. It says that there are 4 injections spread out over the first 2 years of a child's life.
Okay.
So, this is
And
great news. This is
yeah.
great news. This is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's still great news.
It's absolutely great news. Again, it'll be nice if people who need it can get it. And I don't know and I don't know if you mapped the hardest hit areas of malaria, how does that tie into, how does that relate to medical infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
to where you have this, to where you have a reasonable setup where people can, bring their kids in and get 4 shots over the course of a couple of years and have that available and easy to
Right.
do. So, it'll be interesting. It's such a, it's not something we always think about in the United States, but for so much of the world, it is such a killer. It is such a disabler. It is such a, if you can do something, if we can put a dent in malaria, it's, it's like it would be like doing the same thing with cancer. I mean, it would save
Mm-hmm.
so many lives and save so much suffering. So I am, yeah, any advance
Mm-hmm.
is good news. I
Yep.
hope, again, I hope people can get it.
I hope so too. And it sounds like the WHO is really pushing it. And also, this is not where science just stops and goes like, well, good, we got one. Yeah, it's only
Right.
like 30 to 40% effective, but we're done. Like,
Right.
research is going to continue development. And, they say that they would love to get one that's 95% effective. So there is still going to be development. Hopefully, this won't be the be all and end all. And we'll get something better and better and maybe even easier to administer. We'll
Yeah.
see. But right now, it's a really great step.
Yeah. Good. Absolutely. Well, I've got some, on that note, since we're doing positive stuff, there was a, there was a, there was a, there was a cute article in Slate a couple days ago by from Shannon Pallas, the things that are getting better pandemic wise, finally. And I thought this was sort of a nice list. There are, I'm not going to go into all the details with these or even all of everything on the list, but there are, if you are looking at that article at home, if you're following along, there are link throughs to the sources for, this bulleted list. So I think one of the biggest ones is the Food and Drug Administration will in all likelihood be authorizing the Pfizer vaccine for kids 5 to 11 in November. So
Oh,
there's been a,
wow.
I don't know if you'd say it's a holdup. I think it's just been the vaccines were, the focus on the vaccines was making sure they were safe for older population and medically compromised people who had, who were at greater risk, just because we had to sort of, we had to sort of pick and choose where we were going to go first. So, but now we're seeing transmission into and through kids. I mean, in part just as
Mhm.
a statistical thing, because they are a more, they have by default sort of become a more vulnerable part of the population by as a result of not being vaccinated, other people being vaccinated and them not. So that is great news. I think that's going to make things easier and better over time for schools and teachers and parents and all sorts of things. I mean, I cannot imagine having a kid in this crap. Honestly, it just sounds awful in general, but especially now. um, More than half of Americans are fully vaccinated. I would like that to be even
Wow.
higher, honestly,
I wish it were higher.
but that's nationwide. So that's, there are some places where it's much, much higher, some places where it's fairly well lower, but we're giving about 1 million shots, not you and I, but nearly 1 million people are getting, nearly 1 million shots are being given out each day still. So we're continuing at quite a good clip with those. So that is good thing to see. I've got my booster shot scheduled, so I'm excited
You
about that.
do?
That is good
That's
news. I do.
awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be on
Wow,
Manhattan Square Park for some reason.
oh my gosh, wait, I was only a day after you. So if you're due for one, I should be able to schedule mine too.
Yeah, so mine's the yes. I think
All
that is
right,
probably true.
great. Yeah, because we got ours like you got yours the day before I got mine.
Yeah, I did mine through my my healthcare provider. Their little app website thing had a, here, you want to schedule your booster, here, do it here. So I'm sure it's I'm sure there are a million different ways to do it, but I'm
All
sure it's easy enough to do.
right. Yeah,
Do it,
knowing
man.
me, I will probably
Assuming
just
you're
go to
eligible, but there's
CVS.
broad eligibility. I mean, even though it's limited in some regards, the eligibility things are pretty broad, and I don't feel too bad about it. I mean, I don't think we're, at least in the U.S., I don't feel like we're hurting for shots. I don't feel like I'm taking a shot away from somebody else, and I do technically meet the thing, so I'm going for it. And I
All
figure
right.
anybody, if there are going to be people who aren't vaccinated, then having people who are extra vaccinated it doesn't balance, but it's better than nothing. It helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'll check the eligibility just to make sure that it's my turn. But wow, no, I'm ready.
yeah, I'll tell you you are,
Okay.
but look for yourself. But I know for a fact that you are, based on one of the
Awesome.
criteria.
Excellent. Oh, I'm excited.
Something about having a period. um, Los Angeles just issued a vaccine mandate, joining New York City, and required anyone going to public indoor spaces to show proof that they're inoculated. Love that. Um, Vaccine mandates in general are working, and I thought this was one of the most interesting ones. People. We've heard this stuff about employee mandates. Mostly, it's what we're talking about here with companies mandating that their employees get vaccinated. And there was a lot of like, oh, everybody's going to quit and people are going to leave. And for the most part, that is not happening. People are just going ahead and
Ah.
getting the shot. So, United Airlines. This is if I link through to the NPR article from this. There's an NPR article that talks about this. So United put in place a vaccine mandate, and of course, it was like, oh, everybody's going to quit, and it's going to be terrible, and who's going to fly the airplanes? 99.5% of United employees have been vaccinated, and um, there are 2,000 employees. I don't know what the total workforce is, but there are 2,000 who have applied for medical exemptions. So I don't know if those are legit or not. Who knows? It says they've
Hmm.
applied, so I don't know, what that process is. But other places like Tyson Foods, New York City schools, some of the hospital systems, they list these things. They're pretty much all coming in well over 90% of people who are just like people who of employees who are getting the shot. So the overwhelming majority of when if you have unvaccinated people who've gotten a work mandate, like you have to get this shot, the overwhelming, which isn't really all that surprising, the overwhelming majority of them are like, fine, I'll get the shot.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've got to say, for like all of the people who are like, oh, well, we don't know what it's going to do, you can look at a lot of people in your very own town who've gotten a lot of shots. Uh, we're fine.
yeah, it's
Like,
hundreds of millions of people at this point who've gotten the shot. So you have a pretty good
and
base
it's
of,
been months and months and months and months.
well, and it's exhausting too. I mean, because so much of what I'm seeing now is now that there is all this data of all these people, it's switched to more this philosophical thing about like, well, I have a right not to get a shot as an American because it's my body and blah blah blah. And and it's so hard to. I mean, first of all, legally, they are incorrect about that. So I mean, if you're making a legal argument, and if you're making some sort of, I guess you've got this thing that helps everybody else to not die. I guess if I see somebody, if there's somebody dying of thirst on the street, and I've got a bottle of water that I don't need particularly,
Mhm.
um, I can either sit there and call my friends over and have a philosophical argument about, the extent to which the water is mine, and do I really have an obligation to give someone the water because the water is technically mine, and legally I do not have to provide this water to this person who's dying slowly in front of me and I'm watching them suffer and die. or I can just give them the water. I can just give them some
Yeah.
water. It's that's to me, it's that simple. Like all these people you see, like, well, I have a philosophical, objection. Sometimes even people who've gotten the shot, like, oh, I have a philosophical objection to the thing, and I want to let's how many angels can dance on the head of a pin so that I can keep
Mhm.
myself from getting the shot. And it's like, it's so you're exhausting yourself and everyone else to because you don't feel like taking 5 minutes to drive to the drugstore and get a shot that takes 30 seconds.
I
It's
know.
absurd to me.
It
It's
is.
absurd and it's ugly. It's so ugly. And I know these are the loudest people. I mean, for the most part, people are getting their vaccine, their
Mhm.
vaccinations.
Yep.
But Lord, people.
I know, and now
Um,
it's so easy. When we went, it was actually kind of a stressful, like, "Oh my gosh, okay, we gotta, like, sign up here and log in here and schedule that." Now you can just go to the drugstore.
yeah. The next bullet point here, I'll just do a couple more here,
Yeah.
but I think we know this. We've talked about this, and I won't go into the numbers here just because it would take too much time. But the vaccines continue to, even without the boosters, the vaccines continue to work extraordinarily well. And you can, again, if you're looking at the article I'm looking at, you can click through to get the numbers on that. But it's, as far as hospitalizations, deaths, there's no question that the vaccines work well. They continue to work well over time. And they also there's more and more data that they are helping you not to spread the virus. So, the vaccines weren't necessarily, there was without that data, it was sort of unclear at the beginning. Like, okay, the
Right.
vaccines seem to be working to help you keep from dying, and they seem to help keep you out of the hospital and keep getting you
Mhm, mhm,
from getting very sick. But you're still, you can still sort of ingest those particles. To what extent are you spreading them around, even if you're not getting
mhm.
sick? The answer is there. It the vaccine also makes you less likely to spread the virus around, even if you're asymptomatic, even if you're not getting sick, even if you are getting sick, it's making you less likely to spread the virus around. So it's just benefits all around.
That's great. Yeah, that was a big concern at first. I'm so glad there's been more data obtained on that now that we've had more time.
Yeah. Mask mandates on planes, trains, and buses are going to extend at least through part of January, according to the
It's fine.
TSA, which
I have a
is
formal
good
event
news as far
coming
as I'm
up
concerned.
and yeah, and I gotta tell you, I have a formal event coming up. Now you can get masks in like fabric that matches your evening gown.
Perfect.
It's wild. It's wild. Like I'm gonna look great.
um, the monoclonal antibodies treatments, which again is sort of, it's an annoying thing to bring up because then there are people who are like refuse to get the vaccine, but then they're demanding these monoclonal antibody treatments. But setting that aside, um, these are um, these are effective treatments for people who are getting sick, even if they're getting mild infections. These are effective treatments. So for people who are getting sick, particularly people who are already vaccinated with the breakthrough cases, this is yet another. It's another road. It's another area of things going well. There's also a pill from Merck that is apparently coming, which is going to be another treatment that's expected to work well. So again, for people, again, setting aside all the people who just refuse to get vaccinated, which is the first and easiest and most effective thing you can do.
Mhm.
There are other things, to fill that gap for people who are getting breakthrough infections. Rapid home testing. We're investing billions in rapid home testing. So by December, we should have quadruple the amount of rapid home tests that we have right now. So that'll be a good thing. And, I'll leave it there. Those are positive developments.
They really are. Now, is there much information on this pill? Because I saw a little something about it. And is it for treating COVID or preventing? Do you know?
This one is a treatment.
Okay.
It's Malnupiravir.
Okay.
Malnupiravir.
Yes. And
Um,
Malnupiravir's son, Malnupiravir.
yes, but this is a treatment. There's a whole article about it if people want to know more. But the
Interesting.
drug can halve rates of hospitalization among people recently diagnosed with mild or moderate COVID-19. So, my understanding is just from skimming that is, yeah, it's something you take when you're diagnosed,
Okay.
and if you take it relatively early on, and it's a mild
Wow.
or moderate case, it will, it tends to, it seems to be a treatment that might be fairly effective. So
Oh, that sounds great. Because from what I've read, some people who've gotten mild to moderate cases, like mild to moderate doesn't mean what I think it does. Like when you just have a mild cold, like you're a little sniffly and you feel a little bit bad. I guess if you have mild COVID, you still feel really bad.
yeah, that's what I've heard, and I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not someone who gets sick a whole lot. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm not someone who gets sick a whole lot. So it's sort of a little weird to me. Like if you said mild cold, to me, a mild cold is something I barely notice. Like it's like, I feel a little cruddy today, or my nose is runny.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Like a mild cold for me would be, am I getting a cold or do I have allergies?
right. Now allergies, yeah. If you said allergies, okay, that I can
Yeah.
make a comparison to.
Right. Because,
Anyway,
well, I mean, I think you and I both periodically with the seasonal allergies go back and forth on the, I'm getting a cold. Oh, wait. No, I'm allergic. That's right.
well, in this past year, it's been I'm getting a cold, or is it COVID? I don't know. Oh no, it's allergies probably. All right.
There's that too. Yeah, definitely. Yep. I've had a few moments of that and I'm like, "Oh no. Oh no. Oh no." And it's like, did you forget? Yeah, it's pollen season."
Yeah, I forget every time.
I know, it's
Hey
easy to
everybody,
forget.
you know what's not easy to forget, Heather?
Oh, I wish you'd tell me.
Is It Music Matters is up next, and that we're going to be back next week with more good news from Ross and Heather is the new name of our show.
I know. This, can you believe it? An entirely positive show?
Just waiting for the
How,
shoe to drop.
us?
We'll see you next week, everybody.
How?
Ow!
Well, hold still.
I'm not going to hold still while you're trying to shove me into a wood chipper.
This is hard enough as it is. I've barely gotten a finger in here and it's already half clogged with hair.
Look, lady, you come at the bull, you're going to get the bull's hair.
Work on that. But,
Yeah.
quickly.
Ow.
This is gross.